Okay, first of all, the mustache is shaved, but the girlfriend doesn't like it, so we're growing it back. Anyways, I'm Pierce. I also go by XFAP on the internet. Today I will be drawing 100 swords in a single day. Technically not a single day, it took me a day and a half, but you know, title sounds better. 100 swords in one day, just kind of rings. But I did do it in technically a day and a half because I've been so busy. It took me about 4.5 to 6 hours to draw all 100 swords, and I did it in a field notes notebook. Naturally. If you want to sketch along with me as I sketch the swords in this video, you can do that too. I do that a lot on YouTube myself. I draw along with other people's videos. Anyways, we're gonna stop talking and get started so you guys have something to watch instead of my face. Let's do it. Getting started, I'm just taping down my frame of reference here. And then the pens I am using for this are a Lamy FN fine point thing, Safari, Lamy Safari, and then just 3 Arteza colored pencils, and then this Copic Gasenfude marker, and then just a pencil sharpener. I'm using my old D&D notebook from last year. I only used it for 2 games, and I thought it would be appropriate to do a sword drawing thing in here. We're starting out with a very basic sword. Straight edge, basic pommel, basic guard. Everything is basic about the first sword. One thing I should note here as I go is I do try to draw swords from different angles, but the thing about swords is they're very flat, and whenever you do try to draw them from different angles, you kind of just get a weird looking sword. So I try my best, but it does get a little weird. I start getting creative with the colored pencils and realize I can use them to shade, which is also really cool. And I will say that this challenge did help me get a lot better at drawing swords because it had me run out of my original ideas for swords and start having to come up with like new sword ideas, as well as look to popular fantasy media such as Zelda and Lord of the Rings and Elder Scrolls, and look up blades in like those worlds and copy them a little bit and draw inspiration from them. Like here you can see me drawing the very well-known Lord of the Rings blade. I think the blade's name is Isildur or something like that, or that's the person who uses the blade. I don't remember. But I actually love doing this challenge. 100 swords in one day. I feel like you could do 100 blanks in one day and get significantly better at drawing whatever you're trying to draw. Something that I might do in the future that might take a very long time is 100 faces in one day. I know some people have drawn 10 faces a day for a week, and I know that I did that in the spring, and it took me so long to draw faces. I'm not very fast at drawing faces, so that video might take me 10 hours to film, but Christmas break, when I have all that time, might be worth it. We're still drawing here. This is like a very common Roman sword, the thing I am drawing right now. And one thing you'll notice that I do on a lot of these that I actually really miss doing, I didn't realize how much I missed doing it, was cross-hatching. And you might notice I'm rotating the notebook a lot. I do stop doing that on either the next page or the page after because I realize that videography-wise, it does not look good when you're moving the notebook around. So I end up taping it to the table, you'll see. And this blade I also really like because it looks like it's falling down. I thought that was really cool. The audiobook I'm listening to right now while I'm drawing these swords is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. It's like a 49-hour audiobook. I'm already like 30 hours in, so I have 19 hours left. It is a great audiobook. I would highly recommend Brandon Sanderson to anyone who likes fantasy. Also, a great way to fill up space in your notebooks is to just make shapes behind whatever you're drawing. Like you can see I'm making weird little like gooey shapes with the colored pencil, and then like these block shapes and triangles with my marker. It is a great way to like contrast the foreground and like add some depth to your page. I didn't realize how awesome it was until looking at it now, and I'm like, wow, that makes it look super aesthetic. Also, and one thing I wish I did more is draw the sheaths for the swords. I did it for this one here, but I didn't do it for a lot of other ones, but I wish I did. I'm starting to draw katanas now. The katanas are so cool. I learned that with the katana, the way that the like the handle is there's like layered, what is it called? Like the leather is layered over it, which makes a triangle pattern, which I was really excited about. You can see it right there. I thought it was so cool. The thing about challenges like these is they really challenge you to stick with it when it gets boring. At around sword 35, I start getting really bored with the swords just because you're drawing very similar shapes over and over again. And it does require you to begin to get super creative with like how you want to make them look. And one of my residents, I'm an RA in SPU dorms, Seattle Pacific University dorms. One of my residents was like, just tell a story behind every sword. And that's when I started getting really into it, because I was like, yeah, the story. This blade right here is actually inspired by the Way of Kings, because it's like the blade they have on the cover. And then I realized it also looks very Dark Souls-esque. I've often wondered why swords are the way they are. Like, they have a handle, they have a pommel, and then they have like a guard and then a blade. But why don't they have other parts too? Like, why don't they have a double handle or a double guard? And I understand some do. Or like if you have a kunai like this one, it doesn't even have a guard, it just has like a handle, a pommel, and a blade, because the handle goes directly into the pommel. I also went through 2 ink things during this session, because the Lamy Safari FN01, it is a like refillable pen. It was actually recommended by one of you watchers, subscribers. It's a pretty great pen. I might do a video on it sometime. You can flip it upside down in order to get a slightly thinner nib. And then flip it over again in order to get a thicker nib. And this blade here also is inspired by Adventure Time. I don't know how many of you have ever watched Adventure Time, but the design of Adventure Time swords and like armor and different loot is so good, and I'm curious to know what inspired the designers of Adventure Time to come up with all the stuff they came up with. We are on around 36. This is where I start getting bored. This is where I'm running out of ideas. You can tell because I just made a very dinky blade right there. And I did say at the beginning, this took me a day and a half to complete, not a single day. The reason it took me a day and a half is because I would be drawing in the middle of something, and then I would have class or something else would come up and I'd have to address it. So you can actually see the passage of time as I change coats. I was going to move my little tiny desk here over to the sunlight in order to get some nice lighting, but I didn't end up doing that because I realized that would create inconsistency. So I just have my little tiny IKEA lamp lighting my desk here with a paper taped over the lamp thing, the light bulb. Yes, paper taped over the light bulb to create a light box effect. You can still kind of see it shining off the table though, which is annoying. This is okay. I thought this was really interesting, like different guard and handle designs. I started messing around with it and started thinking of like, what are the different ways that handles can look? You can have a curved handle, you can have a straight handle, you can have a handle that's rounded or a handle that's straight. You can have one that's layered with leather. You can have a really long handle like this sword here, where the blade isn't even really attached to the handle except by a few metal pins. I thought that was actually a really interesting way to do it. And then you can have a handle that's almost the same length as the sword. Like, actually, I've realized there's a lot of swords that have that. Here again, you just have a basic handle that's rounded at the edges. Here I go again, drawing another katana. Again, with the handle design, the like squarish handle design, it looks so cool. I'm then drawing a similar one, but it's like layered with leather to create this like cool triangular rectangle pattern. Also, the reason I just skipped there is because I drew for a while without noticing I wasn't recording. So my apologies. I just drew 3 swords without you seeing me do it. Sword 54, I think it is supposed to be like a sword that's falling from the sky. I don't know how well I captured that, but that was the idea. Here I am again drawing some more katanas, a short one and a long one. I thought the different lengths are kind of an interesting idea, like having a shorter blade with the same length handle. This is like a Skyrim dagger, like the original iron dagger. So I counted how many pages of swords I did. I did 13 pages of swords, which equates to about, give or take, 7 swords per page. I did cheat a little, I guess, in that I could have used a larger notebook, and then there probably would have been like 13 swords or 14 swords a page, and then I would have only had half the amount of pages I have. But I think that's the beauty of using little notebooks like Field Notes notebooks, is you can fill them up fast and fill them up with a lot of really nice artwork and just have like this little notebook of a sword catalog. That was the biggest appeal for me when making this like challenge, was I really just wanted a catalog of visual ideas I had in my brain at the time that I could go through later whenever I was like thinking like, oh, I want to draw a sword. I could just look through it and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to use that sword or a similar variation of that sword. I think creating a visual catalog as an artist is a very powerful and important thing to do, which is why I'm definitely doing this video again in the future. I think I'm going to do either an armor set video or a face video or an expression video or like a building video, like drawing 100 buildings in one day. I feel like that would also be a fun video. If you have any ideas for different ways I could do this as well, I would love recommendations. Like if you have an idea like drawing 100 plants in one day or anything like that, let me know, because challenges are fun, especially when they're different from the norm. Because I feel like challenges go around on YouTube and Instagram and different social media sites, and it can be easy to get caught up in like focusing on needing to be on the trend and not focusing on improving as an artist. Because in the end, you should be doing these challenges to improve as an artist, not to get attention. Which is why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to improve as an artist. Because just think about it, like 100 swords in one day? I just made a catalog of swords, even if some of them suck. And even if some of them are copies, like this one I just made of the Lord of the Rings sword, that's literally broken in the same exact way. Also, that is a fat Lord of the Rings sword. It's not usually supposed to look like that. It's Bilbo's blade. But yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, what can I do to improve as an artist versus what can I do to improve my marketing skills as an artist? Like, marketing is important as an artist, because if you're going to get freelance jobs, you obviously need to market your skills to companies and businesses. But as a student right now, I think one of my biggest focus needs to be getting my skills up there so I am able to draw swords quickly and draw different elements in sketches and stuff quickly, so that I'm able to market those skills. Because right now I feel like I have skills, but they're not super marketable because they don't stand out from anyone. So by doing this right now, I'm building up my skills, so I do have something to market and do have something to be like, I've done this. Also, this is my favorite page of swords. I just think it's so cool, like the floating blades. Personally, like the floating katana, and like, they just look so cool. I might do this challenge again in the future and just do blades vertically, because I feel like that would be fun. I realized I hadn't done a cross page blade at all in the entire time of making this video, so I ended up making this really large unstraight cross blade. It's literally like the handle curves. That's okay. This is like an orc blade. This is just a basic sword. At this point, I'm getting super close to the finish, so I'm just trying to come up with anything now. Like anything that looks vaguely sword-like will pass. There's another thing that this challenge teaches that I think is extremely important, and that is the idea of meeting deadlines. Being consistent with what you say you're going to finish, and then finishing it on the time that you say you're going to finish it, or even just like with your clients, like being like, I'm going to finish this for you on this day, and being able to finish it on that day or close to that day, I think is an important skill to develop. And even though I did do this in a day and a half, it's still good practice. Like a day and a half is better than 2 days, and heck, next video I might even do it in less than a day. But the title's still going to be drawing 100 blanks in one day, because that, like I said, that rings. Again, I'm doing the verticals here. At this point, I'm like, okay, we're so close. I'm supposed to be getting coffee with someone. I'm like 5 minutes late, so I'm just coming up with random swords. And then the last sword is literally, I just write swords. I think it's so funny. And that's it. That is all 100 swords. I'm gonna do a quick sketchbook flip through just so you can see all the swords I came up with. Like I said, making a catalog I think is such a cool idea. So now I'm gonna share with you. This is the first page. It's all my D&D notes for my campaign into the Icy Mountains. This is the first page, yellowish. Again, second page, yellowish. Third page, gotta love the one on the left. I love the katana sword on this page. This is the sword with the page with the sword that's like Dark Souls-esque. And this is the page with the Adventure Time sword. This is the page with the long handle sword and all the other handles. And this is the one that skipped, that I tried to draw a Master Sword on. This one's meh. This one I did a lot of Breath of the Wild swords. This is my favorite page, just because it looks so aesthetically pleasing and the idea of having floating blades is so cool. Second to last page with the giant blade across, and then the last page where I ran out of time. That's it. Thanks for watching. That's all 100 swords in one day. That was all 100 swords. I hope you enjoyed this video. If not, I am sorry. I do my best on these things, but I hope you did. If you have any tips on how I can draw better or any comments, comment them down below. I love interacting with you guys. It's like literally one of my favorite things to do on this platform. So if you want to comment. Other than that, I hope you have a great day and do something creative. Stay awesome. Peace out.